G'day folks, according to a new study that has just come out, you are so racist, you don't even know it. There's a recent New Zealand report called something like Unconscious Bias in Education that links the poor learning achievements of African American students with those of Maori students in New Zealand. The reason for these poor results given is, yes, socio-economic factors. Poorer children have poorer learning outcomes, but also the unconscious bias of the teachers, the white teachers, of course. So they had this guy on the radio the other day that triggered the shit out of me, and he was talking about, this guy Anton Blank, he was talking about how they've had Maori researchers in the classroom and they've watched the teachers. It's always implicitly white, they don't actually say it. And they found that the teachers spent less time with the Maori students and pronounced their names incorrectly. Oh, it's like heresy in this fucking country. He explained to the interviewer, this cucked fucking interviewer, like, I like this guy, but seriously, he's so fucking cucked. He does a lot of interviews where, you know, it's this kind of like anti-white rhetoric, and he's so nice about it, and he's so interested, and he's like, explain that more, not in a persecutory way, but just because he's just being he's being so fucking white. Anyway, so this guy Anton Blank, he's like part white, part Maori, looks part Asian or something. He goes on to explain the theory, that the paradigm, he calls it, that underpins this unconscious bias, and that is that everybody has an in-group favoritism. Everybody. I mean, he obviously accepts that everybody does. It doesn't matter what colour you are. And so you devote more energy to those that are like you than those that aren't. And this is the reason that Maori students are not achieving well. There's a big gap between their achievements in school and European students. They're acknowledging socioeconomic factors, but then they're thinking, well, this can't be the only reason because the gap's big. In fact, apparently the gap's widening. So they have to make the leap. They skip genetics, because it can't be that. But they skip racial differences, and they go to the environment in the classroom, the learning environment, and so it must be the teachers. The education system itself is like, I mean, it's soaked in strategies to raise the baseline for non-white students, for Maori students. And it has been for a long time. So the mechanisms are all there. I mean, you know, like, as far as I know, children are in school, like they're taught to embrace Maori culture. Anyway, so now it's the teachers. The teachers are to blame, and the way to solve this is to educate the teacher. I love educate. There's people that are always very softly spoken as well, like this guy Anton Blank. He's very softly spoken. He speaks in a very calm, controlled voice. He's got there's a real righteousness behind it, but the way that it comes out is very calm, measured, and you can just imagine this guy ordering you to be dragged away to the psychiatric unit for heavy medication, just in this voice. You know, like it's like a cold, calculated, like Marxist tone. It's really fucking creepy. Anyway, so they're not calling it racist, and they actually go into this. They say that that it's not right because it's not conscious. It's an unconscious bias. But the guy that he was being interviewed with, this other guy, I can't remember his name, he actually referred to racism and then quickly kind of went, or unconscious bias. So really what they mean is racism, but we're so racist that racism's been purged to the unconscious. So, you know, consciously, we're clearly so altruistic. I mean, we're welcoming in third world hordes into the first, greeting them with the candlelit vigils, the fucking kumbaya guitar playing, lavishing them with benefits, free healthcare, benefits that often the natives of the country don't get. Special programs not available to whites, grants, scholarships, funding, legs up all the way. These poor people, my God, they're getting so fucking tortured by us. So obviously, consciously, we're not racist anymore. So you have to go and witch hunt the racism into a kind of invisible realm, this kind of like unquantifiable realm, this dark, shadowy realm, and that's where you have to go and purge the fucking racism that's like holding the entire world down. Unconscious bias. Fuck, honestly. Creeps the shit out of me. Anyway, so like after this article, then they go to the hourly news cycle, and it's all this like racial tension that's happening in the States, and the double standard is becoming so glaringly obvious that I just can't believe that everybody is not seeing. I can't believe I still have to point this out to people, that when it's a white on black violent act like white cops shooting black criminals or Dylan Roof shooting up the church, it's systemic racism. They refer to this in this New Zealand context as well in this report. It's systemic. It's a systemic bias. So in America, systemic racism, it's a problem, it's a cultural problem in America. We've got to tear down the flag, the Confederate flag, we've got to tear down the monuments. But then when it's the other way around and you get, like this black guy shooting the 5 white cops, for example, oh no, we can't blame the actions of the few on the many, or, like the Orlando shooting, oh no, it's not a Muslim problem, it's just the act of one person. So, fucking hell, it's getting worse and worse and worse, the double standard. It's not even so much about the fucking issues in particular. I just can't stand this fucking double standard. So anyway, unconscious bias. Well, okay, if you're not going to ignore racial differences, if you're going to ignore racial differences, if you're going to ignore genetics, and you're blaming Europeans essentially, then okay, in 20 years' time, when the gap, I don't think it'll be any different or it'll be worse. Let's say that it is. Are you still going to be able to blame unconscious bias? Are we still going to relegate racism to the unconscious, or is it going to go somewhere else? Is it going to be a spiritual racism? Fucking halo, fucking racist halo around the head or around the icon, like flaming fucking halo, or like a burning cross behind their fucking head. Or a flaming fucking halo, or is it going to be genetic racism? Are they going to find this gene? This like scientists have found the racist gene that only exists in Caucasians. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. So like, man, we're fucking racist. Okay, we're fucking racist. Like, we can't help holding down people or being scared, or fearful, or aggressive towards people that don't look like us. It's obvious. It always has been that way. It is that way now. It's always going to be. Let's just face the problem now. Let's own it, and let's deal. We need to deal with this now. We need to actually properly deal with it. We're soaked in racism. We're racist on a genetic level. Our fucking chromosomes wear white hoods. Okay, our double helixes are like flaming cross helixes, like double flaming cross helixes. That's just the way it is. And so, people just need to stay away from us. Surely that's like the answer. You need to just like take a wide berth around us. Surely that's the answer. If we're psychologically torturing, persecuting, making everyone feel so bad for just being the colour of the colour of skin. This guy Anton Blank, he even talked about this recent sentencing of, I think it was the Maori king's son. The Maori king's son just committed some crime, like recently. It was a scandal, and he's been sentenced. I don't even think it was that bad, but Anton Blank was saying that he was punished for being Maori. That the judge punished him for the colour of his skin. Systemic racism. Like that even fucking happens anymore. Or I mean, fuck it, maybe it does happen. Maybe all of the every time there's a crime in the media, there's a rape, there's a home invasion, there's a shootout with the police, there's a string of service station robberies caught on video with like gangs of Maori youths, Pacific Islanders pouring into the shop and just like mobbing the place, taking all the cigarettes. Maybe the fact that they are the ones that are always in the media, maybe that is a media conspiracy, like, because that's what you always hear is that we are misrepresented in the media. Like, all you ever see is Maori criminals in the media. Well, I always think, well, that's because you guys commit most of the crimes. So maybe there is a media conspiracy. Maybe the media, when there's a white crime, they leave it out because it's not as newsworthy, and they own. Maybe it's true. Well, this is even more reason that people need to fucking stay away from us. And surely that's the answer to the problem. Surely the problems will go away. So, the Maori are really good at this. I mean, they're sort of like the pioneers of this kind of a kind of separatism. It's this whole thing where it's been officially declared that they never ceded sovereignty to the Queen in 1840. That they entered into a partnership with the Queen. So they allowed the Queen to send the governor to New Zealand to institute the rule of law over settlers. But the Maori were allowed to carry on as they were, and this still stands today. So you've got this kind of co-governance, or like two systems, two laws existing in the same country. Well, I mean, in some ways, like, I think you should have your own law. You've got your own way of looking at the world, your own views, your own identity, politics, whatever. Like I respect it, have it, but I don't know whether it should exist in the same space. I don't know whether that can work, or under the same ultimate government umbrella. It just sounds like fucking recipe for disaster to me. So anyway, end white racism. Let's free these poor, persecuted minority groups from being endlessly held down and made to feel terrible for just the colour of their skin. Let's all breathe a sigh of relief when people finally learn that they just need to stay away from us, or they're going to get fucking burnt by our genetic racism.